You know that feeling when someone tells a story and you just immediately believe them, and it's not because they have the fanciest words or they have the most beautiful visuals. This is just because you trust them, right? So if you're a brand or you're a leader and you're someone that is trying to communicate very clearly, this is something that you need. One of the goals of storytelling is not just to impress, but is to connect with your audience in the most simplest way possible. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to tell stories that build trust, the kind of trust that gets people to listen to you, believe you, and stay with you till the end. Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rachael Wanogho. I'm a storyteller, a communications professional, and also a brand strategist. And I help people and brands to communicate their goals with confidence, clarity, and purpose. So if this is something that you're working on, then why don't you subscribe, follow, and join the family. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 important keys that would help you to tell stories that build trust. Number 1 is for you to be emotionally honest. You need to ensure that you are relatable and you are authentic as authenticity can be. The truth of the matter is that people don't trust perfection. They want realness, and your audience want to connect when they sense truth, not performance, right? So you don't always have to share everything. You can take some tidbits of yourself, whether you are building a personal brand or your business, and share about that. A good example that I'm going to give you is the story of Tala, founded by Grace Beverly. A couple of days ago, she opened her second flagship store in Westfield, London. And one of the things that I noticed that she did through the agency of social media was to share some BTS as they counted down to the opening of the store. And I could relate so much with that story just because she shared her frustrations with some of the fixtures, the furnitures, and even the fact that a lot of the mannequins and the things that they needed to fix in the store were just giving like ghost vibe, especially within the Halloween season. And what she did with that video was that she was able to tell the truth and the realness and the rawness of what it takes to build a brand and to even launch a second store in 6 months. So imagine that kind of situation happening to you, and you're a bit scared, you're vulnerable, you're in a vulnerable state, and you're just trying to make sure that I wake up the next morning and I get all my dreams as at when I want it to happen, right? So for example, if you're talking about your business journey, don't just say it was hard, which was why I was sharing the Grace Beverly story. You can go ahead to say, oh, it's been a long road. I've been on this hard and long road and I almost gave up, and I thought to myself that giving up is not good enough, right? And I learned that in this my journey of life is not just about perfection, but it's just about showing up and showing up regardless. So whether it's I show up 100% or I show up at 20%, it doesn't matter. I showed up, right? So what that vulnerability does for you is that it creates emotional safety, and emotional safety translates to trust. Yes, because that is the building block of trust. So when people can connect to your vulnerable side as a business or a person or a brand owner, they can trust you. Number 2 on how to tell a story that builds trust is to anchor your story in shared values, right? Trust grows when people feel seen. Before you tell a story, you need to ask yourself, what does my audience care about, and how does my experience reflect that? If you're a brand, this might be about transparency, quality, or empowerment. And if you're a professional, this can mean your integrity, your curiosity, or your resilience. People want to see that you are consistent. Your story has a value that you are trying to present. So when your stories echo what your audiences value, you don't just tell a story, you are building a bridge, and that bridge will connect between you and your audience. For example, so when I talk about what does my audience care about, for some people it could be that they want a faster service, a brand like Chowdeck. I was listening to an interview about the founder a couple of weeks back, and one of the things that he said that motivated him to creating that brand was the fact that he loved food, and he also liked that his food gets to him on time, and that when he left the city that he was in, which was Lagos State, and he went to Dubai, he saw the speed at which the delivery riders, the dispatch riders got to him, and he started to time that service. And so when he got back to Nigeria, basically all he wanted to prove was that it is possible for you to order something and get it in the next 30 minutes or in the next 15 minutes, timed deliveries. And I've used Chowdeck a couple of times, and I can tell you for a fact that I love so much the timed delivery service, because you can predict when your order is going to arrive, right? And which is not something we are, quote unquote, very, very familiar with in this part of the world. I'm sure the Westerners already have that sort of system where you can track, but here it's not so much so. And when it comes to food, people are very, very sensitive about food. So that is a value that I believe that resonated with the founder of Chowdeck and his co-founders and even his customers, with the fact that, okay, they want to be able to get their food to them, to wherever they are, on time, every time. The last point into telling a story that would build trust is to let your story be consistent over time. I mean, what do we know Apple for? Innovation, right? What do we know Coca-Cola for? Refreshing drink. And so many of these brands have run with maybe one part of their story over the years. So the most trustworthy storytellers are the consistent ones. If you are a marketing professional or a communications professional, as I am, you will notice that it is the same message that is being preached over and over again, but in multiple different ways. You can't say one thing online and then say a different thing offline. So if, for example, you have a physical store and you also have an online presence, whatever experience your customers are going to get in the store should be the same experience they're going to get online. It should not be a different experience. If not, your story is inconsistent. And I can tell you for a fact, people do not like inconsistency. It puts them off. You can't post a message about excellence and the next thing we are discovering is that you are delivering mediocrity, right? No one wants that. I had an experience earlier on this year where I had two types of experience where I had a bad feedback, or rather a not so good feedback and a great feedback, right? And so the first one, which was not so great, was when we were just starting out as a business at Erin, and my client reached out after I told her, okay, please, I would like some feedback about the service that you have just gotten. And she said, oh, as much as I love the type of content that you are presenting to me, the delivery time for me to review this content, it isn't getting to me on time, and it's not allowing me the opportunity to deliver or to review as at when I would like to review them because of the time schedule, right? And so we took that feedback, even though that was not what we wanted, but we took that feedback and we went back to the drawing board, and that caused a beautiful effect on this second client who gave us a great feedback, letting us know that she loved our timeliness and the swiftness at which we delivered the task that we were meant to do in order for her to showcase her business online. So two different clients, two different types of feedback, but again, going back to the drawing board and ensuring that we delivered the best results possible. What does this tell you? Your tone, your visuals, your message should be pointing towards one narrative and one narrative alone. You are reliable and you can be relied on, whether as a person or as a brand owner. In this modern time, a lot of founders are not meant or ideally meant to disconnect themselves from their brand, and with better reason. It's for you to ensure that the values that you embody as a business owner, it translates to your brand. There are many myriads of cases where oftentimes a founder of a brand does something wrong. We had the case of the astronomer CEO who was cheating. He found cheating at the Coldplay concert, and that was a ripple effect. Who knows? Is he going to get more customers? We don't know. But they usually would say bad press is good press anyway. But that would definitely have a ripple effect to the point that he's going to lose a certain target of potential customers that he was meant to get in the first place. And then even now, the ripple effect of the HR lady is that HR is no longer going to be they won't be trusted as, some businesses would like you to trust the HR system. So you see, when it comes to your personal brand or your story or your consistency, it is important that it translates in every way across board, right? For me, I've learned that storytelling is not a one-time act. It's a continuous process, right? It's a pattern. The more you show up with integrity, the more your customers trust that you will deliver integrity in the product or in the service that you're providing, right? The more people will begin to believe that whatever it is that you are saying is not just your words, but it is your essence. This is the essence of who you are, and this is the essence of your brand. So what have you learned today? The next time you want to tell your story, whether it's through an email or through a video like this I'm doing or a conversation, I want you to remember these 3 things, right? Number 1, be emotionally honest. Number 2, speak to your shared values. And number 3, most importantly, stay consistent, right? That is how you build trust, one story at a time. So if this video resonated with you, I'd like you to give this video a thumbs up, right? So that YouTube can tell the algorithm that this is a useful video. And make sure you share it with someone who is either building a brand, a business, or they want to share their own story as well. And I also like to know from you in the comment section, what's one story you've told recently that made someone trust you more? Share your thoughts in the comments, and I would like to hear from you. I promise you, I'm going to respond to every single comment I get. Thank you so much for watching today's episode and sticking to this point. You are definitely a true fan if you got all the way to the end. I still remain Rachael Wanogho, and remember that every great brand starts with a story worth trusting. So if there's anything you're going to take from this video, I want you to take that point. I'm going to see you in my next video by God's grace. Stay blessed, stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye. All right, so basically I've said all this to say, so what should you do with this information? The next time you're trying to tell your story, whether it's via email